Well, the 2020 election is coming at you fast and furious. On Monday, we have the Iowa caucuses. Tuesday, we have the president set to give his State of the Union address. And today could potentially be the last day of the Senate impeachment trial into President Trump. But right now, we're lucky enough to have Chris Wallace with Fox News Sunday live with us in Miami. Good morning to you, my friend. We have this late announcement from Lamar Alexander, one of the key Republican swing votes here, saying last night he is a no on witnesses, saying that Democrats have proven their case of wrongdoing by the president, but it doesn't rise to an impeachable offense. We should point out, though, that the president has been impeached. But now we're in this position where we could potentially see a vote of 50-50. Normally, the vice president would be the tiebreaker here, not in an impeachment trial. So there are questions about Chief Justice Roberts possibly stepping in to break that. Do we have any insight as to whether or not he might be willing to get involved by the fact that he rejected Rand Paul's question because that would out the whistleblower? Or is he more of the Rehnquist route, where Rehnquist had famously said, I did very little and I did it very well?
Yeah, Roberts is not going to get involved in this. And by Senate rules, in this kind of a case, when the vice president isn't there to break a tie, if a motion goes 50-50, it fails. You need a majority. So particularly given that this is an impeachment trial, that Supreme Court justices really are not very comfortable getting into the political arena. If it goes 50-50, and there's a good chance of that, he'll just say that the motion fails and they'll move on. And if the motion, and it appears almost certain now, to call witnesses does fail, and it'll be this evening, then they'll go right into closing arguments, and you might see an acquittal of the president. I think you probably will see an acquittal of the president late tonight, maybe the early morning hours of Saturday morning, 1 or 2 in the morning, and the impeachment of Donald J. Trump will be over.
But can I ask you, because the vote is scheduled for today, what was the strategy in, let's say, Mitch McConnell earlier this week telling his own senators they did not have the votes to block witnesses, then eventually saying Democrats would come up one short, Lamar Alexander making his announcement last night? Is that positioning to kind of signal other senators who might have been on the fence?
Yeah, the key was when he said last week, he said, I don't have the votes to block no witnesses yet. And Mitch McConnell is the master of the Senate. He's the great parliamentarian, and that was a way of putting pressure on those swing senators like Lamar Alexander, like Lisa Murkowski, and some others that were thinking of it. Put as much pressure on him as possible, and it appears, as most people kind of expected, that at that point when he said that when he said I don't have the votes yet on Tuesday, he was going to have the votes when it counted on Friday. And look, I think there are a couple of arguments here. First of all, there seems to be no doubt among either Republicans or Democrats about the end result of this, which is even if they had witnesses, that they were not going to remove the president. They weren't going to get the supermajority of 67 votes, 2/3, to remove him. And, you know, if you call witnesses, there was the concern raised, well, you know, let's say they wanted John Bolton, the former national security advisor, then the White House would have invoked executive privilege. That goes to the courts, and this thing drags on. And in a funny way, Lena, I think everybody gets what they want. The president gets acquitted. That's good for him and the Republicans. The Democrats will be able to complain from now till November. No, the White House and the Senate Republicans blocked having any witnesses. And John Bolton gets a lot of publicity for his book. So it's a little cynical, but I kind of think it's a win for everybody.
You know, speaking of winning, we are going to have to hit on why you are in Miami, but I do want you to quickly run down your show on Sunday because you are a working man. And also, if you can just quickly give me your feedback on that Dershowitz defense on Wednesday, basically saying that the public interest and the president's personal interests are one and the same.
Yeah, there was a lot of blowback on that when he basically said if he's running for election and doing something electoral purposes because he thinks that benefits the nation, then that's not an impeachable offense. Well, that would basically say any politician running for office could say, I'm doing this for the public's benefit, not for my own political benefit. That didn't fly very well, and that's not the reason that the president's going to be acquitted. We're going to have football and politics on the show. Remember, regardless of whether the president is acquitted or not, we think he will be by this weekend. The Iowa caucuses start on Monday. We think we're going to have one of the Democratic senators who was stuck in Washington for the trial and will now be in Iowa. We think we're going to talk to a White House lawyer. We're going to do some football. We're going to talk to the NFL on Fox crew, Terry Bradshaw and Michael Strahan. All of those guys, Howie Long, and we're going to have a Hall of Famer. So, and I will say, this is a pretty great scene here. I know you guys had a Super Bowl 3 years ago, but here at the Fox Sports News Complex, there are Hall of Famers. I just had a conversation with Brett Favre. If you like pro football, this is the place to be today.
Okay, I'm getting a hard wrap, but one last question here. Yes or no? Can the 49ers defense block this freight train that is the offense of Kansas City? And if you're wrong, will you make me a panelist on Fox News Sunday?
I'm gonna go with Kansas City.
Oh, I can't believe we're on the same side on this. I thank you, as always, for your insight on politics and now in sports. Don't forget, you can get informed and you can get entertained here on Sunday on Fox 26. You got Fox News Sunday early morning, 8 a.m., and then our coverage for Super Bowl starts at 8. Melissa, back to you.
All right. Fun conversation there.
Yes, it was.
Toward the end. Otherwise, serious business.
Well, there's growing some healthy help